Hi, this is Candace with KNC Lodge, and today I am going to do, I made these ATCs, and these are vintage with a button for a swap bot, and I wanted to go ahead and do a tutorial on how I made these. So basically, I want to start with the materials. And here is most of the materials that I use for this ATC. We have the cardboard background, some lace, button, paper, and actually also I used liquid pearls on it, and I have some walnut stain distress ink and vintage photo distress ink. So I always start with my background, and I had gotten this paper, and I just got it the other day in a bunch of vintage lace that I bought off of eBay, and I thought, wow, this would make a great vintage background. So I took some of this cheap Elmer's spray adhesive, and I sprayed some cardboard, just regular cardboard, white background, because this paper is very thin, and I sprayed it and I put it on there, and I let the paper just naturally crinkle on there. So I started with that, and I always, for me it works best to put my paper on the cardstock or cardboard, which I usually use cereal box cardboard for my ATCs. I always put it on before I cut the ATC out. Now this is a die, but you can cut it out with scissors as well. It just seems to stay together better, and I don't have to try to trim the edges off perfectly when I do it that way. So there's the background with this paper that I had gotten. And then I took a little bit of the walnut stain, and I did go around the edge with it. It didn't really do a whole lot. You can't hardly tell that it did anything. But, so there's that start. And then I took, this photo here is actually just a printout from the computer. The internet has so many good photos and things. And basically I just tore it so that it would fit onto the ATC the way I wanted to. And then I used some distress ink. And I used vintage photo. And I just didn't get too fancy with it. And because that one side is going to be curled over, I went ahead and did some on that one side as well. And then I took the walnut stain distress ink, and I put that around the edges. That gives a little bit even more dirty, stressed, grungy, a little bit of dirty, stressed, grungy look. Then what I do with this is I take this and I use these tweezers, and I just bent this edge over to kind of give it a folded look, or a distressed look. Just like that. So now I have this ready to go on my background. I'm going to bring this back in, and this one's already made. I could use either one. And this here that says make music, I did the same thing. I printed it out, I cut it and tore the ends, used the distress inks on it, and then I actually used the distress tool on this as well, because that gives it a little bit more of a ripped and distressed look. So now we have our elements. So for this, I'm going to just turn this over and use some glue and glue that on to my ATC. And then this lace is part of the lot that I got off of eBay, and I also took some of the vintage photo ink and I used that on it because it was kind of bright blue and a little bit too bright to look vintage. So I just rubbed it over and it gave me a nice vintage, old vintage look. So for this part, I put a little bit of stickum here and just a little glue on the bottom because those areas are going to be covered up with other things. But I don't want to cover up this because you can tend to see the glue through it. And the easiest way is just to go ahead and glue it onto the back because that will make it nice and tight and ensure that it's not going to fall off. And then this piece also came from that lot. And what I did for that is, again, glue, put it on so that the edges will go around the back. And I can also fix it with a little bit of Glossy Accents. Glossy Accents is a great glue. It's also a great shiny texture. You can put it over something and give it a glass-like shiny texture, but it's great for adhering things as well. So then the next step is I actually have these brads that I got from a yard sale, and there's a bunch of different ones, and they were kind of large, and I thought I would never use them, but they're working great on these vintage looking things. So I've got one brad, and I can go ahead, because this is a self-healing mat under here, and I can go ahead and poke this through here. So there we go, and just make sure that the hole is big enough to fit that brad through. There we go. Making ATCs is really fun. It can be time consuming, but once you get your first one done and you know what you like, you can make several of these. I actually made 8 of these because I can use them for several different swaps on SwapBot. So now I'm going to take the Make Music, which is just, again, printed off the computer and distressed. Put some of that glue on there. And just like that. Next, I'm going to take these buttons. These were actually really neat buttons. I got these in a yard sale. A lot of the stuff I got, a lot of my materials, I got from yard sale lots, and so I looked through the buttons, and this had all like pock marks in it, and I thought, oh gosh, that looks vintage. Plus the blue green goes with the background of the picture, so I don't want to darken that up just because the ATC theme was vintage with the button, so I want the button to sort of be a central part or stick out. So I'm not going to darken it. I like the brightness. I like how it works. Now the Glossy Accents, because of the way it works, you usually have to hold it for a few seconds. Put some pressure on it and hold it. I can also put some Glossy Accents underneath here to help hold this in place. And then my final touch on that is some liquid pearls. I also tried the stickles, the gold stickles, but I kind of like the liquid pearls better. And I did one large dot and two small dots, and then down here a large dot and a small dot. So there you have it. That is my ATC. They're fun to make, and you can do many styles, and they're great for swapping. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.